Hello, Chris Guthrie here, and in Module 2 we'll be talking about how to pick your product to sell. Now, let's get through the criteria of what to look for in a product to start. So number one, you want to go after similar products that are already selling well. Typically, this is a selling price of between $10 to $40, and that's because these items typically are lightweight, not too large, and then not too complex. Now, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into these to explain exactly why we use these criteria, but the first one is similar products that are already selling well. Now, you can go ahead and come up with a brand new, never been done before product, or you can go after something that's already existing and already selling on Amazon on a daily basis, of which there are thousands of products that you'd be able to sell. And the reason why we talk about going after selling existing products is because they're just a lot greater risk when you're doing something brand new. I'm sure you've read about different Kickstarter stories where someone's looking for only $10,000 for their new water balloon, and then they end up raising $1 million, and they're going to go on to make a multi-million-dollar company, but that just isn't the norm. Whereas the everyday norm is that there are thousands of sellers that are already selling existing established products to a market that is already buying them. Right? When you're going after something completely brand new, there's a much, much larger risk of failure. Sure, there might be a greater a greater reward rather. But when you're going after an existing market, you're already selling what people are interested in buying. And we're going to be talking about how you can find these products later in this module. So please stay tuned and watch this whole thing. It's going to be fantastic for you if you're in the product research phase. Now, if you're doing an existing product, another thing I want to draw your attention to is because you want to be aware of patents. Of course, there are products that are patented that are selling on Amazon, and you want to make sure that you don't violate these. So you can go to uspto.gov, which is the U.S. patent search. You can also go to google.com/patents, because what you might find is that suppliers in China may not really care that there's a patent in the U.S. for the product that they're selling. So you want to be able to do your own due diligence. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, and so you want to do your own research, talk to a legal counsel of your own to make sure that you've made a right decision. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about is the selling price. So typically between $10 and $40. Now, why this price point? Well, typically products that are sold between this price point are frequently sold, for starters, because they're lower priced. And then additionally, they're also not typically too complex. They can also fit the criteria of being lightweight and also not mechanical driven. There are, of course, products that are in this price range that are more complex. But the idea is that at this price point, $10 to $40, you're going to be going after products that you can sell and private label fairly easily. Now, it's the first time I mentioned that term, and private label basically means you're going out and finding a product that's already being sold. You're talking to a supplier, making a few additional tweaks, perhaps looking at things that people are saying in reviews of similar products that they'd like to see, and then you're putting your own logo on it and selling it as your own. So that's something you want to keep in mind as you go about this. But can you succeed at below $10? Of course, right? There are plenty of people selling products below $10 that are making money, but it's just a lot more difficult as you start to get closer and closer to a smaller price point. That's why we say at least $10. Now, can you succeed at greater than $40? Of course. In fact, that might be a strategy you can go after as well, is that if a lot of people are going after these lower priced products, you can go after higher priced products. You just have to be aware that there might be a lower minimum orders that you can purchase, so you've got to keep track of the inventory that you purchase as you go, and some other challenges that you might face at a higher price point. But please don't let me stop you from going after any price point that you'd like to go after. This is just what the typical price point is that I go after personally. So, next, something that's lightweight. Now, the reason why we're going after lightweight is because it's easier to ship, there are lower shipping costs, and then you can also be able to send your units over air. So if you're sending your units through air shipping from China, for example, and of course you can also get sourced products from the US, but if you're shipping them from China, being able to ship in from air is a very huge advantage, because you want to be able to measure your product lead times to make sure that you have product active and in stock through the Amazon warehouses versus always struggling to keep them in stock. When you have something that's heavier, you're going to typically need to use sea shipping, and so there's a lot more operational challenges in factoring that in, right? Because you're going to be shipping it over on a boat, and it will be much longer shipping times. Now the other factor too is not too large. So again, this is easier to ship when it's not as large. It's also going to be lower shipping costs. So again, your per unit order cost will be lower. And then also the main reason why is that Amazon has an oversized storage max of 500 units. Now we're going to be talking more about the Amazon system here. And basically what they've done is they take care of all the work for you, right? I've said this before in the previous video, where you ship your products from your supplier to Amazon and they handle all the fulfillment. So they handle sending units out to customers, they handle the calls that come into Amazon, they handle the emails. Occasionally you might receive a few emails from time to time, but for the most part Amazon handles a lot of that. And so one of the challenges that Amazon has is that when you have an oversized product, you can only store a max of 500 units. So if you're trying to grow your Amazon business and you can only do 500 units at a time, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, what classifies an oversized storage unit? Well, I wanted to get this criteria here for you so that you can know, but of course this may update in the future, so make sure you check Seller Central Support, which is Amazon's system for allowing you to sell products on Amazon through their Fulfill by Amazon or Fulfill by Merchant system. But the idea is that anything that weighs more than 20 pounds or with its longest side more than 18 inches or its shortest side more than 8 inches or its median side more than 14 inches. So you can kind of make a box right there of those dimensions. And if you don't think you can fit the product that you'd like to sell within those dimensions, then just know it's going to be more of a challenge for you to build this business because you're going to have this limit. Now, if you aren't doing this, conversely, the starting point is 5,000 units, which is more than enough for you to be able to get started. Now, finally, you don't want something that's too complex. The idea is that you don't want to go after something that's very challenging for you to make with your first product. Now, this is just my own personal opinion. You can go after something more complex if you like, but the idea is that we want you to get up and be successful early versus trying to struggle through something that's more difficult on your first go. So typically this means the electronics category would be canceled out. Anything that's mechanical based is going to be a little bit of a risk. And for example, just to show you, a microfiber towel is pretty basic, right? It's just fabric, perhaps with a logo sewn to it. But if you contrast that to a USB powered Nerf rocket firing device, well, that's going to be a little more difficult to build. All right, so now that we've established that finding products that are already selling is what you want to use as a strategy for selling physical products on Amazon using the private label type of strategies and using Fulfill by Amazon, you want to know how to find what is selling, of course, right? You want to make sure that if you pick something that's already selling, you want to make sure that it does. Now, fortunately, Amazon actually tells you this information on every single listing sold on Amazon.com. They do this using the best seller ranking. So every single product on Amazon.com has an Amazon best sellers rank. So for example, this one is number 42 in video games. Now the important rank you want to pay attention to is the actual number, but then the number associated with the primary category. I'm going to talk about those primary categories here in a moment, but the key point is you don't want to look at the subcategory ranking. We're talking about bestseller ranking, and we'll be talking about it here in more detail. You don't want to look at the subcategory, you want to look at the primary. Now, the other thing you want to do is you want to decide how much competition you want to face. Obviously, products that are sold more frequently on Amazon are going to be more competitive than products that are sold less frequently. So a larger bestseller rank, that is to say a higher number, is going to be less competitive than a bestseller rank that is lower. So BSR of 20, for example, versus BSR of 200 versus a BSR of 2000. So BSR is short for bestseller rank. And a BSR of 20 is going to be exceptionally competitive in some categories. In some categories, in fact, that could be high 5 figures or maybe even low as 6 figures in terms of total sales on a single month. Whereas a BSR of 200 might be lower than that. And of course, a BSR of 2000. So that's something you want to evaluate. You can know that a few thousand BSR is not too bad. That's certainly something you can use to start. But if you do want to go after something that's more competitive, just be aware there's a lot more competition at the higher levels. So if you're thinking about a long-term strategy for this business model, then If you're going to be going after the lower, as in to say a better BSR, that would be a lower number, then typically you're going to be having fewer products, right? Because you're going to have more effort focused on just those handful of products, keeping those up, ranking in Amazon, generating sales, getting great reviews, and doing all those types of things that help to drive more sales on Amazon. But if on the other side, you're going for a higher BSR products, that is to say a worse BSR, then you're going to need to have more products to come up with the same volume that a smaller subsection of products would take. So there's a few different ways you can look at it, right? You can go after higher competition stuff and be able to drive a lot of sales with just a few products, or you can combine a bunch of different products together at once to be able to drive more sales collectively. So there's a few different ways you can look at it, and ultimately no strategy is wrong or better than one or the other. It's ultimately down to what you are most interested in doing. All right, so now how do you actually find which products are selling? Now, going into the slow manual method, you can go to amazon.com/bestsellers, and these are the primary categories I was referring to. So you can see video games is listed down there. So these are the categories you want to look at when you see the departments, and then look to see what the bestseller rank is. Only the product that is ranked in the specific category, such as baby, that's what you want to look at when you're doing this research, not a specific rank for that subcategory. Now, when you're on this page, you would go to, say for example, if you're looking after a barbecue grill brush, to continue the example from Module 1, you go into patio, lawn, and garden, which is the primary category, then down to grills and outdoor cooking tools and accessories, cleaning and maintenance tools, and then on down to grill brushes. So that's how you're able to find products that are outside the top 100 BSR for a main category by diving down to these lower subcategories. Now, because you have AmaSuite, you've actually got a much, much faster method of actually finding these products. So you're able to use the ASIN Top 100 Analyzer and then the ASIN Product Inspector to find products much, much more quickly than people are using the slower manual method, which is how most people are finding their products to sell. So this is a huge edge for you, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it right now. All right, so the first tool we'll be showing you is the ASIN Top 100 Analyzer. In this tool, you're able to go to Amazon and see different products that are being sold within various subcategories. So this is a great tool to use if you aren't yet sure what product you want to sell, which most of the time you're not going to know quite yet. This way you can help you find products by doing this. So you can go in here to the Amazon site, click amazon.com, data source bestsellers. I leave this box unchecked, and I'll explain why here in a moment. And then I also go into here and I click the categories button. I prefer the manual select method because that way I can then pick a bunch of different categories all at once to see the products that are being sold in those. So let's say I'm interested in selling something related to barbecue because I'm a huge fan of barbecuing. Then I can go ahead and click this combination grill brushes and scrapers and add this to my list. Then I can go ahead and click this grill brushes section, add that to the list. And then I can also click the grill scrapers button and then add that to the list. So once I've done that, I've got my 3 category links here, and I can actually go ahead and click this green button. And what this is doing is going out to every single category that I've added in here and then pulling all of the products that are being sold within those. So this is going to be providing you a bunch of different data of products being sold within this niche. This is a very, very valuable tool for you if you have no idea what you're interested in selling in, because this is a great way to see, say, if you're interested in even something general like patio, lawn, and garden, then you can actually go through and grab a bunch of different subcategories within that space, run the tool, and then start looking at the numbers to see if there's something that interests you. So one thing that I like to do is I actually like to filter by the total number of reviews. So I do that to be able to find which products are typically being sold more frequently. It's not always the case, but typically the more reviews, the more sales. So I do that. And then the next button you can do, which is great, is you can actually click the Get Main Rank. And then what this does is it goes out and finds the actual main rank for the product being sold. So this is showing you the rank within patio, lawn, and garden, because that's the main category. This is incredibly valuable because then you can see exactly how many products people are selling, right? This is awesome. Being able to run this button, click it, and then see, okay, this is a very popular product or this isn't a popular product, and then do this all within this software is very, very helpful and, of course, time-saving. because otherwise you'd be doing this manually, going to Amazon.com/bestsellers, clicking through various links, looking at products, manually hunting and pecking for products to sell. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this because it does take a little while to go through all of these. So typically if you will have a bunch, you can run it and then step away from your computer or do something else and then come back to it. But let me go ahead and stop those now. And you can see I can filter by the main rank. Coming down here to the lowest rank, I can see it's a barbecue grill brush. I can see some other barbecue grill brushes, and you can go ahead and click these links here and then see the products that are being sold on Amazon. So it's a very huge time saver. And of course you can also filter by the reviews, as I mentioned before, but then you can also see the average rating and then also the sale price, so you know roughly how much they are selling for, and then you can think about later how much you're going to need to get the product for to be able to sell and compete at that price point. We're going to be talking about that in the future module though. So altogether, the ASIN Top 100 Analyzer is a very good tool for you if you aren't yet sure what you want to sell. Simply pick a category, a main category, and then simply grab various subcategories under that main category, because now we're able to find products that are outside the top 100 bestseller ranking. Very valuable information. So let's go ahead and head on over to the ASIN product inspector now. So let's say we've gone through those 3 different categories in the patio, lawn, and garden section under the barbecue grill, maintenance, cooking, cleaning, or whatever it was, and decided let's do a barbecue grill brush. So I'm going to continue that example as I said in the very first module, showing that barbecue grill brush that wasn't very popular, and we're going to say type this in here, barbecue grill brush, the search phrase, check the box for exact match, and then click the category of patio, lawn, and garden. And I checked the exact match box because what that does is actually finds products that are specifically using these keyword combinations in their product listing somewhere. So it's only going to find products like that. And I can go ahead and click the green go button, and it's going to go quickly through and find these products. So again, some of these products are going to be similar to what you found within the top 100 analyzer, but you might find other products that you didn't come up in that search. And so when you can combine this data together and do some analysis and look at these products and see what's selling and what's doing well, both by looking at the reviews and the bestseller rank, it's going to give you an accurate picture of what's selling, and then I'll, of course, also help you determine what you can then sell on Amazon. So incredibly powerful stuff here. So this is just about done now. And just like in the other tool, you can also filter by the total number of views like I've done here. And again, you can click any of these links. You can go here to see the reviews, the product listing page. You can see the sale price. You can also see the average rating as well. So just like in the other tool, again, you can also click the Get Main Rank button, which is what I would suggest you do next. This is going to pull in the best seller ranking for that specific category. So this is all within the patio, lawn, and garden category. These are the best seller ranks. So 200, that's going to be quite a bit of volume. 372 is also going to be a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean that's going to be several $1,000s per month at least. Each category is different, and unfortunately there isn't a public data set that shows you specifically what bestseller rank associates with how many sales are being driven. But it's safe to assume that if you're in the 2,000 or lower bestseller rank, that you're going to be doing pretty well for yourself. And of course, once you're actually up and selling and say you've learned something about that category, you might want to pick something either more competitive or less competitive, and you can go from there. But again, we've been able to see the rank here that's pulled in. We've got the sale price, reviews, and then you can very quickly click these links and see these listings. So that's the 2 tools that you can use to help yourself during the product research phase. They're incredibly valuable, incredibly useful, and then of course very, very time saving. So be sure to use these tools in your search, and in the next module we'll be diving into this stuff in even more detail. We're talking about how to find a supplier.